Do we have any questions in the chat room or anyone that would like to come on and ask their questions? Just feel free to turn your camera on and we can bring you to the stage. Otherwise, I'll try to ask some questions that I've seen in the chat room or some that I have myself, because there's quite a few. Let's see. Oh, no, not going there. Okay. And Raj is asking Dr. Tate, how does tax benefits work?
And so most for passive investors, of course, all the expenses that we do in the larger projects pass through onto the K1, but also the depreciation passes through. And so while you cannot use the depreciation against your earned income, unless you or a spouse is a full-time real estate professional or something of that nature, if you have other sources of passive income that are not being sheltered, for the first 1 to 3 years, depending on how large a property and how quickly we depreciate the asset, you're gonna, even though you'll be getting cash flow, you get a negative kind of K1, which can be used against earned income from other projects.
All right. Next one for Dr. Liu. I saw some conversations regarding financing your initial projects and purchases, and I'm sure some of the audience would probably also be in the position where, whether it's their first or maybe second or third, wondering some of the avenues of financing when you're getting started in real estate. Would you care to share any of your experiences there?
Yeah, definitely. So that's a really great question. For single family residences, I went the traditional route on my first 2 properties. So, the first property, just basically a conventional home loan, and basically I stayed in one room and I rented out the other. So I house hacked that, brought my cost of living expenses close to 0. And from there, I also, since I was trading options and investing in stocks during this, from the boom up from around 2002 to about 2007, I had proceeds from there. So I was able to put another down payment. Plus the banks were less stringent than they are these days. Combined with no student loan debt, I was able to get ahead faster. I'll share another story. So my third property, I moved up to New Jersey, and I put in a down payment for that one as well. They saw me as a resident and was a stable physician. So that was my third property in New Jersey. When I decided to go full-time real estate entrepreneur, I had my options trading business, I had my equities, had my 3 properties, and I went to the bank. This was during 2008 and 2009, and I found this also a undervalued 2-bed, 2-bath condo in the Texas Medical Center, and I went and I wanted to get 80% financing, and they said, you're not stable. It's a real estate crisis, and so basically all the funding dried up. So I had to get creative. And so I went to my friends and family. And again, because the Houston market was severely undervalued at that time, I was able to raise the funds for the down payment. So that was my first venture into raising money from friends and family. And I was able to parlay it from there. So you can get very creative. You can use conventional, you can use raising funds, with some of the techniques and strategies that David and Eric are talking about, that you can pull together people, raise funds that way. But like I said, there's a lot of different ways. I went the conventional route, and I hope that helps.
Good. I was wondering what house hacking meant to you, so I'm glad you clarified that one. I know there's a question that we were supposed to answer during this presentation. I don't think we got to it yet, and this will be for Mr. DeMarco. And it was, where'd it go? Oh, can you explain in short what hard money lending actually is, because it seems to be a term that a lot of people are either unfamiliar with or have a vague sense, but not really clear on what that term means.
Hard money lending is private money lending is when you're basically loaning on the equity. Someone comes into you and either, a lot of times it's used by either a professional that doesn't want to show their returns, their income expenses, they don't want their information public, or the other majority of the time is used for someone that can't qualify financially. They can't qualify through bank financing. So that would be typically like a landscaper, a contractor, a tipped person that doesn't show enough income, but has the ability to come up with the down payment and service the debt. So basically hard money loan, the way that we do it, we don't require as much as some others, but hard money loan is an equity loan. You come in, you say I have 30% down and I have this property. We look at the property, sometimes just do a drive-by, sometimes just pull it up online. And we say, okay, we set it up with title and close in between 2 and 5 days. So it's typically it's an equity loan that's minimal, with minimal requirements.
All right. Sounds good. The next one, Dr. Tate, since you're already sort of discussing this in the chat, would you want to answer the question that Julie is presenting in the chat room about the different SaaS products that are in property tech and real estate?
Oh, it's too broad a concept. That's why we need to narrow it down.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, we personally in our venture fund have not looked at a lot of prop tech, in many ways because it requires hardware, right? And so we're looking for more software forward SaaS kind of thing. Now, interestingly enough, on the self-storage that we have, there's a company that I've been negotiating with who has essentially a product called Storage Defender. And so it's a way to increase NOI for self-storage operators. And it's a sensor that goes into the storage unit that then goes directly to you as a storage owner. If there's temperature changes or moisture, any of those kinds of things, you are immediately known, and it comes out as a split revenue between the owner and the company. And so with that, I would have potentially looked to put together a small investment under the VAM platform, because I knew that we were going to use them in our portfolio as we continue to expand them. And then I can go and talk to other storage unit owners and probably get them put in there. But the owner and I never came to a understanding. So we just use them as a vendor at this point. We're not invested in the company from that standpoint. But there's a lot of stuff out there like that. But we tend to look at pure play SaaS models, not necessarily on the venture side, not necessarily that which has a hardware component to it.
Sorry about that again. Juggling more things than I thought. I missed a question earlier by Dr. Cameron for Dr. Tate regarding the angel and venture class of investment. How did you get to a point that you're comfortable enough setting up a fund and doing the due diligence for these investments?
Yeah, so we already had the funds because of the real estate side. So we had an investor base that trusted us from a diligence standpoint. And on the angel side, we are rare to choose an angel investment. The only way we tend to do the angel side is if I'm on the advisory board, or people I know are on the that I know personally are on the advisory board. Not meaning someone introduced me to them and now I know them. No, I've known them. So the Myoderm company, a college buddy was the chief marketing officer. The Data Gumbo, the buddy of mine was a chief financial officer at the time. And so I had direct links into the C-suite, or I had visibility into the C-suite myself as being an advisor. And so that's how I got comfortable from that standpoint. And then ultimately, I will say that I made more money in private education than I've ever made in B school, but B school did introduce me to cash flow statement, balance sheet, and income statement. And so everybody should know that, whether you're a heavy investor or not, because it's very easy for you then to go in and look at companies and understand how companies flow. And then things can spin off of that. But for the most part, unless they're committing fraud, numbers don't lie. And so if you understand how to read the numbers, understand kind of growth rates and accounts receivable, accounts payable, and all of those kinds of things, they will tell you a story about a company, and then you can make a much more informed decision. But I will say this, just like we all went to medical school, a lot of us went to medical school, you're going to pay tuition, right? The Myoderm company is not doing as well as I want it to do, but the Data Gumbo company is, right? And so you're going to pay some tuition. The beauty of it is, of course, talk to your own accountant. If the company went belly up, we can take it as a tax loss, we're all in this game. We're going to have a capital gain. So it'll go out, it will fall out in the wash as long as you stay in the game from that standpoint. And so I tell people, don't be scared. We're not frivolous with money, but we can all continue to make money. And so money shouldn't be the fear of losing money should not be a rate limiting step for investors.
Great. All right, we have a few minutes left, so I'm going to try to see if I can get in one more question apiece here. Dr. Liu, with being an investor, doctor, podcaster, author, what do you think is either the biggest challenge you've had to overcome so far, or what's the biggest one you're trying to tackle now?
Biggest challenge and fear is the haters and the naysayers. So when I transitioned from orthopedics into a full-time career as an entrepreneur, I got a lot of flack and a lot of hate, and people calling me traitor, people calling me, I was throwing away my career, my future, etc. So you have to really hone down as an entrepreneur, as an investor. You're really learning how value creation works. So in the traditional sense, you make your income by trading your time and your skill and your labor for an income. So as an entrepreneur, nothing is guaranteed. So you can work 24/7 and makes nothing. So it's really about the value that you create. So you have to really believe in yourself. You have to, a lot of it's, you have to really, it takes a lot of persistence and a lot of guts, and it's not for the faint-hearted. So you will experience ups, you will experience downs, you will experience highs and lows. So that's the one thing. The other thing is just, all of you just have to, it's this internal fear. So that's the base. And then you really have to hone in on what it is that you're about. What are your passions? What are your skill sets? What are your creative talents? And how are you going to combine that into making an impact? So, whether it's learning how to make money work for you and to grow and amplify it for, your family and your future generations, or if you want to make a bigger impact on society. So you have to really figure out what is your exact skill set and what is your passion, and you have to really focus in and what is that niche that you're gonna go all in. So that's the number one thing. After COVID, I think COVID showed everybody that there's no such thing as stability. And, with now after COVID, we have this Ukrainian war and all of that. Nothing is guaranteed. So you really have to, no job is going to take care of you, no government. You really have to create your own future and your own destiny.
Love it. Great answer. Well, we only have a few minutes left, so I'm going to fit in one more question that was posted in the chat. Of course, everyone can stay after and continue their discussions and in the chat, and of course, contact the speakers on their respective emails or websites. Mr. DeMarco, the question's for you. If an individual is interested in getting into mobile homes, either as an active, direct, or indirect passive side, how do you suggest going about that?
Oh, well, there's there's several groups out there that are buying mobile homes, that are buying mobile home parks. I assume that's what you mean, not homes, the parks. Is that right, Chase?
It sounds like it, yes.
Okay. It depends on, okay, so active, what you're going to want to do is determine what kind of a property you're looking for. The passive is easy. The active, you want to determine how much, what your capacity is as far as purchase price, type of property you want to invest in. Parks are rated from 1 to 5, the 1-star being the lowest and the 5-star being like a golf course type community with clubhouses and so forth. If you're starting out, you want to start out with something. Normally, we're, as the smaller guys, we can't compete against the large funds that are buying the properties at down to 3% cap rates. We try to buy something in the 6 to 8 range, which gets you into not a 5 or 4-star, but a good 3-star. You want to involve, if you're purchasing a property for the first time, definitely do not buy a property that has rental homes. The rental homes come with them, along with the potential. It comes with a lot of headaches, and if you don't have a good management team, or if you're not going to manage it yourself, you'll lose a lot of that potential. On the passive side, there's a lot of groups out there if you want to send me an email, I can send you some information on where you can get involved as a partner or a passive investor. We're not really involved in syndications, but we can get you information on where to look for the parks, what type to stay away from. Your best park that you're going to find as an initial one is going to be a smaller property, say 20 to 50 units, that has the individual build or individual metered and build utilities. You don't want to be in the utility business. That's more work. Again, each of these steps takes you down a little bit in your cap rate because that's what everybody wants. I have one property that went against all of my rules, and it's one of the best cash flows that we have, and it's about 120 some odd spaces, and they're all rental units, and it's in the Gainesville area. We bought it. It was run down to, it was under 30% when we purchased it 4 years ago, and we've picked it up, and I brought partners in too. Instead of a manager, you may want a partner or someone that's going to have a definite interest in the same thing you do. And we've quadrupled the income, brought the occupancy from 23% to, we just did 82%, and it just 4 years. And again, I'm not there; my partners are there. We put together the money, and we find other people that are, you find the skilled partners that can do whatever. You have the investor, you have the worker, you have same thing we were talking about on the split equity. Do you have more time, Chase, or?
We're a little bit over currently,
Okay.
so I think we can continue the conversations in chat. And of course, if anyone would like to reach out to our presenters, they have their contact information in the chat room right now. If everyone would like to put your contact information in there again one more time, just so everyone doesn't have to scroll all the way up. And I'd like to thank our presenters, Dr. Eric Tate, Dr. Christopher Liu, and David DeMarco. And Raj, did you want to take over from here?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Chase. It was great moderating.